Josh, if we can start with yourself. This is obviously my first time speaking to you at a press conference, so how would you sum up the start of your United career so far?
I think it's been positive in terms of numbers for the games I've played. Obviously scored in the cup against Morton, 2 assists on Saturday, up at Rafe involved in the first goal, so it's been positive. Results wise as well, I think anybody kind of watching the Inverness game knows that we should have been out of sight in the first half. It was a real positive performance by the team, and then we go and implement that again on Saturday. We wouldn't say we dominated the game, but we did in terms of chances, and we were ruthless on Saturday and we took them, so it's been good.
So that 5-0 win and getting those 2 assists as well is a bit of the morale boost that he's needed after a bit of a sore one against Inverness.
Just think it's important that you don't get too high, because like say a couple of different results in this league you can be right back down there, but that doesn't cross my mind with the group of boys that we've got. Like I just said to you 2 seconds ago, like everybody's working hard for each other. The strength in the squad is excellent, so it's been good, but in a positive way.
So is it just a case of you are confident of your abilities, know what you can do? If you go up and do what you know, then you will get the result then?
I think it's just confident in what we're doing and what we've been asked to do. I think, like you see that maybe out of possession, to highlight that. We know we're a solid 4-4-2. We know what we need to do when we're defending out of possession. We can be comfortable out of possession, and then we know as soon as we get a turnover that we'll be strong. So I think that's the main thing. Everything that we're asked to do in the training pitch, we're confident getting to Saturday.
Just the last one. When you arrived, was that not just right after United's 3-1 win against Dundee?
It was. That was one of the big reasons. I know that Ayr United had been asking the question. I thought that I was going to get my chance at Livingston, because, like I said, I was schooling and stuff before I left. So I watched the game the Friday night, and I was really impressed with what I seen. Spoke to the manager on Sunday. And then I think it was in maybe the Tuesday after that. It was a real positive conversation, and like I said, touched to the manager as well. Like, I love playing at Somerset. I love the old-fashioned stadium. So when I spoke to him, watched the game on Friday night, seen the crowd and stuff, I knew I wanted to come.
Excellent.
And Josh, you mentioned your 2 assists at the weekend. As a winger, is that something you take real pride in and strive for each season?
I think for me it is. It's that selfish side. Your numbers need to be good. In terms of there's a lot of wingers out there that's probably better on the eye than what I am, but I know what I'm capable of. I know I work hard, and I know I've got a good right foot. So if I can keep implementing the numbers, then I've always got an argument. So that for me, that the selfish side of it, that's right.
And we've got Dundee at Dens Park at the weekend. As a player, what are you expecting from the Dundee side?
No, I think everybody says they're going through a bad spell now, but they're only 3 points behind us, so they're not doing that bad. I think that's probably because everybody thought they'd be favourites to go straight back up, but as you've seen over the years, it's not as easy as just coming down and going straight back up. So they'll be looking to put last weekend right. Obviously, they lose a goal from a free kick. It was an unbelievable free kick, but I think they'll be hungry, ready to go, and they'll want to prove a point after getting beat 3-1 on the telly. So it's important that we go with the mindset of matching that.
And we were speaking off camera there about how much the players look like they're enjoying themselves on the park. How much does that aid the players in terms of getting the wins and the results?
Massive, like you say, I spoke about kind of being out of possession, knowing what our roles are, but then you need to have the freedom to go and do what you do at the top end of the pitch when you win the ball back, and that's what we are told. Just be comfortable out of possession, be strong, but when you win the ball back, go and express yourself. And I think Saturday just topped that with the 5 goals. Could have probably had a couple others, to be honest, but everybody's loving it.
You'd have thought we've planned this press conference today because we've got 2 midfielders out there and both with number 14s on their back. So we'll go across to Chloe just now as well. I know you've been out for 2 games and came back at the weekend. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was good being back. It was good being back with the team and seeing like the difference in them even in just those 2 weeks. Like, was incredible. Like, everything's starting to come together now, and we're building momentum and we're getting the results from it now. So yeah, it was good to be back and see them all again.
For those who haven't seen the results or anything, what was the result of the match and how tough was it?
We won 1-0 on Sunday, but I think it was probably a flattering result in their side. We were very much like winning the game throughout. Like, we had all the chances, we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. So getting that goal was a bit of a relief to finally get the goal. But it was a bit of a flattering result for them, I would say, because we're very much, the game was in our hands for the taking. Another
good goal for Claire Doherty, I believe, from a free kick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a great goal from Claire. She definitely knows how to pick me at the bag.
Now, you play midfield for the team. A lot of talk has been about the forwards. Rachel Scott, last week we were talking about her, that her goal scoring just now is impressive. Claire's getting fantastic goals up there. But there's a real team spirit about it. It's football, it's not just lumping the ball up to the forwards. And you in midfield must appreciate that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, we are a football playing team. Like, we do want to work it out from the backs, from the keeper, getting it right up to the strikers, and then like obviously hoping that they score. But we do have like capability across the park to score goals as well, which is great, because we do need that in case one of them gets injured or whatever. So yeah, we definitely are a football playing team, and we want that to continue, that we play the ball and then get the goals at the end of it. But the abilities across the park is incredible.
You've been drawn in the cup against West Dyke. How are you feeling about that draw?
Yeah, we're feeling good. It's an away draw as well, so we're going up to Aberdeen. But we're feeling good about it. Whoever came out of that draw, we're going to be prepared for it and ready for it. So it'll be good to go into the quarter-final prepared and ready to do our best.
You see that as a slight disadvantage travelling so far for a cup draw?
Yeah, definitely. It does have its disadvantages, but we will be very prepared for it. We might have a wee stay over the night before so that we're ready in the morning. We do like a wee night away as a United girls, so we will be very prepared for it, but it does obviously give them an advantage that it's at their home ground, but it doesn't defer us any.
You're also up in Dundee, similar to the first team here. You're up in Dundee against Dryborough, you were saying, at the weekend on Sunday. What do you know about that Dryborough team?
They're a good side. The last time we played them at home. We won 2-1. Previous to that, it was in the semi-finals of the Cup up at their ground last year. So we get beat 1-0 that day, and it was a hard one to take. But we know what they're like, we know what they're capable of. So we're just again going very prepared for it and ready for the game. But again, it is away. It's on a grass park this weekend, which isn't familiar to us. But we know what to expect now that we've been up there. So we're ready for it.
Shaun, how would you summarise the start of the season so far? There's obviously been a lot of noise with your work with the Youth Academy and a lot of good recognition. So what's really behind all of that right now?
For the men's team or the ladies team?
For both.
Both. Well, there's a lot of work goes on in the background for both sets. The Youth Academy as well. Both got really good pathways in place. I suppose that's kind of my role, and that's where it comes in. At the moment I'm with under 18s, but I take a kind of bigger role in the kind of full pathway, similar to the women's and girls set up. I was there right at the beginning when they first started with one team, and then all of a sudden they've got a full pathway right into the ladies. And ultimately football, if the men's team's doing well, then everybody does well, but it's the same, the ladies team's doing well, performing on the pitch, then it has that knock-on effect for all the youth teams and youth players coming through. So it's a great time to be at the club.
We were talking to Lee quickly just off camera before this, and he was saying about some of the under 18s players that you have playing the reserve games. How have you found that experience has been for them, and what's it sort of doing for them?
The experience it's been brilliant. It's vital, to be fair. It's part of their development. We're just, again, use the word lucky lightly, but we're at a club now where it's kind of promoting that step for a youth player to have a pathway, which would be 18s into the reserves, and hopefully into that first team if they're good enough. But I just think for a youth player being in and about that setup, it's as close as what you could get to the first team, so it's learning what it's like before a game, what it's like during the game, what the players from the first team playing in the reserves, what kind of things do they do, and it's picking up good habits, seeing the bad habits, and then obviously finding their own way. But it's also it's a learning curve, and it's for them to try and develop and fight their way in the team. And it's brilliant because the manager's there, the assistant manager's there, and if they play well, then all of a sudden their name's in their head, and their dream in the next step would be, can I get into that first team squad?
And obviously you won't want to give any players any big heads, but is there any names that we should be looking out for that could be breaking their way into the first team at any point?
There's a load. What I would say is the full squad at the 18s, they've got a really good work ethic, really good attitude. I think all the academy players do, even the ones that are already in the first team at the moment in the squad. They just want to work hard, local boys as well, which helps. But there's a few individuals. Most recently, Scott Tomlinson. He plays a lot for reserves. He's been doing really good at the under 18s. Dylan Wattrett, who played Tuesday there for the reserves. For what I heard, it was a strong Hamilton team, and he's held his own. Again, and that kind of shows from his performances at the under 18s, and that is how they're getting selected at the moment for the reserves. Are they doing well? Ultimately, at the under 18s, wee bit of background on them, and then it's about, right, here's a wee opportunity for you. So that's just two to name, but there's a load of them. They're all doing really well. But again, it's just they've got to work hard, got to have the right attitude, and the ability's there. It's just they've got to kind of push themselves on to get more opportunities.
And Shaun, you were mentioning the player pathway there. You coached Paul Smith when he was a young kid in the youth team, and then you were out there with the first team coaches with Paul playing on Saturday, and was that a great picture of you taking in the dressing room afterwards? How much does that mean to you as a coach to see a player like Paul have that kind of progression into the first team?
Brilliant. It's brilliant on the basis with Paul. It's just because as a coach, I started off coaching under 11s and under 12s, and I always joke that's the most exciting part of football. 7-a-sides, 8-a-sides. It's great fun if you're involved in it, and that's when I first coached Paul, seen him, and then I've kind of went through the ages myself as a coach, and I've obviously get to see the players I'm fortunate enough to work here. And I see Paul going through the same age groups as well, and he's been good all the way through, and it's just kind of what I said there, it's the kind of three basic. Attitude's really good, he's there to work hard, and he's got that ability, and it's down to him whether he uses it, and at the moment he's doing. And on a personal note, it was just great to see that, listen, the full team did brilliant on Saturday. I was just lucky to be there, and it was a great insight for me as a coach to develop, but I was definitely a wee bit proud seeing not just Paul but academy players that are involved in that setup, and how well they're doing and how well they seem to enjoy it. And just again, it's brilliant for any young player that's looking at that and coming to the games and seeing those boys and saying, well, I might have an opportunity, and they see coaches like myself going, that the coaches are involved at that level as well, so it's all connected, and I think it's a really good opportunity for boys particularly to follow in Paul's footsteps.
As you mentioned there, you were with the first team squad there working on the bench. We're talking about we had a strong bench in playing side, but this shows the depth of talent we have at the club. You had two out, Davy was out and Moff both ill, and you were called up to fit in there. Is there a kind of easy move to that level because of the similar patterns throughout the club?
Yeah. Definitely. Davey obviously being the head of the academy, I know Davey really well, he's a really good coach as well, so you feed off guys like that, so there's that type of progression. You're also you're kind of well equipped, so myself, you've got my UEFA A licence, you kind of build your way in to get small opportunities like working with a first team, professional first team football club or under 18s. So that kind of pathway is in place, and it's probably more so now than ever. It's more connected. I've never really thought about, I could be a first team coach one day, or I could do this or that, but there's a manager now that he kind of embraces it, and he's open arms, welcoming, not to come in and take places, but it's more about come and experience it, have a feel, see what happens, what we do here, and then for me as a coach, I kind of take it back at the under-18s and I think about what have I learned watching the first team guys play, whether it's at training or the preparations, and how can I start to embed that in with under-18s. And I see a lot of similarities, and I just think that's good for players but also coaches, because it makes that step up easier, as well as having players like Josh and that make it easier as well, because you're always felt welcome.
Well, representing the management team today, how's the team in terms of injuries and thoughts for going on?
Yeah, just two really updates. So Fraser Bryden, who's obviously been a long-term injury, he's back full training Monday, and then Murday he's back tomorrow again, full-time training. So good news in that sense. Team itself, just looking forward to the game. There's obviously on a bit of a high after the weekend, but the feet are firmly on the ground, and there's realism there about we're almost completed the first quarter. Obviously Partick Thistle still to play, but we've played every day. We're fairly sure as a set-up how other teams are going to try and play, and then just feed off the good form and confidence that the players are doing. And there's a great, absolutely fantastic team spirit at the moment within the dressing room, and I think that feeds onto the park and you see it.
Would you say, judging by the high performances so far this season, that promotion is now the realistic goal for the side?
As a fan, 100%. As a coach and part of it, you've got to be realistic. You just take one game at a time. That's all you can do. I think if you look at the league, from first down to whatever it is, there's very few points in between it, or between each team. So I don't think you can call and get too excited with promotion. I think that's an Ayr United thing in the past, that you can. But I think you just take one game at a time and you just build in each performance, and the players just keep pushing each other within that dressing room by playing well, and ultimately you'll get the rewards.
Yeah. Josh, you also, just before we were talking as well, spoke about your previous experiences of winning the championship and winning promotion. Does that experience sort of benefit you joining this team who are now performing at a high level this season?
I think so. Like you said, I'm joining a team, like you said, that's performing very high. So as I touched on, I've played in squads. I know what it takes, and I'm certainly looking and saying that we've got enough to be up there competing. But it's like you said, even the teams that I was at, we never get too ahead of ourselves. It's one game at a time. You kind of aim for safety, and then you aim for playoffs and take it from there. So with the squad we've got, the start that we've had, we'd like to try and maintain that, and I'm sure that everybody will be pushing each other to make sure that we do maintain that. But again, we just need to kind of keep our feet firm on the ground, and like you say, next game at a time, just look forward to Dundee at the weekend.
Do you have a goal where you would like to be sitting at the table by the time Christmas comes around?
No, I think, like I said, talking about playing this league, if you can still be up there come Christmas time, then realistically you give yourself a great chance. It's half the battle. I think that's where you start to see a real gap opening up. Like we've touched on, there's not much between the teams now in terms of points, but come Christmas, if you can keep picking up points, that's a real strong part of the season, and that's where you can kind of come out at the other end. So that's what we look to do, maintain the level of performance and hopefully keep picking up points, and come Christmas time we'll re-evaluate it, see where we are, and then I'd imagine we'll set a target then.
As you said, there literally is nothing between the points, all sitting on the same right now. Having games like you did last weekend and getting that amount of goals, that's got to be important going forward in the season. Is that something you need to replicate just to sort of get that sort of edge against the competition?
No, definitely, like you touched on, it's good to get 5 goals, because I think it takes us maybe 1 or 2 just behind Partick. Like you said, we are joint, but they sit top ultimately on goal difference, so it made us pull away from Inverness a wee bit, so it's good. And like you touched on, even when we played Inverness, realistically we should have had 2 or 3 goals first half, so if we can keep kind of providing, I've no doubt that we'll score goals. It's just being aware at the other end.
Chloe, can I just come to you? It sounds very similar to what you were saying there, coming in and seeing the improvement in the team in the 2 weeks you've had out, just seeing there's a general improvement. Team seems to be a bit more solid now, it seems to be winning games. Are you having the same experience that you're really set up well for this league now?
Yeah, no, definitely. It is, like, it's obviously a competitive league that we're in, so it is going to be tough, like, every game, like, one game at a time, like the boys have said. But, yeah, we're building momentum now with it. Like, I think having a new manager at the start of the season, there was a bit of kind of getting everything together, finding our feet a wee bit. But, yeah, it's definitely coming together now, and we are starting to get the results and build momentum with it. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes.